Welcome to the TechTea podcast. Today we've got some Wissotzky Nana tea, and our tech tip for the day is Google power searching.
Let me just tell you a little bit about the Wissotzky tea that we're trying tonight. This tea actually was recommended by a friend of ours on Twitter, Alan Connect. He's up in Canada, and this is one of his favorite teas. And when we first started talking about doing the Tech Tea podcast, he kind of tweeted us and said, hey, you really need to try a couple of teas that I really enjoy. And so we went ahead and ordered this tea online. Stephen, you actually...
Yep.
Placed the order. It was an international purchase, wasn't it?
Well, actually, that's what when I first started browsing the site, I thought it was going to be from Israel. But when I started reading on the site, actually they have several locations all over the world, so you can order it. Actually, here in the United States, we actually get it from one of their suppliers here in New York. So it's actually from Wissotzky. I bought it from their site. It's just the American site, which is based out of New York. So it is made in Israel and then imported in the United States.
Stephen, what was about the approximate cost for that? How many bags are in there?
So there are 25 tea bags in here, and that's one of the things you'll notice. This is the first tea bag that we've tried on the podcast. We've always had loose leaf teas, so we got something a little bit different this time. But so it's 25 individual tea bags, and they're packaged in paper, and they are stapleless because it's a kosher tea. But it was, I think, $4 or $5 for the tea itself, but then I had to pay almost $10 for shipping.
Yeah, I think it came out to about $18.
Yeah, so about $18 for 25 tea bags. So if you're going to order it, I would suggest ordering it in bulk. We'd never tried it before, so I just went ahead and got one so we could get it quickly and get it on the podcast. But now that we've had it, we'll definitely order some more of it. So.
But yeah, a little bit about Wissotzky tea. Their whole website, if you go to like their regular website, is completely in Hebrew. So you might have some trouble there, which is really interesting to have an English song playing in the background. But the website's really gorgeous, and I took a year of Hebrew in college actually, so I get really geeky about Hebrew. But anyway, it's a really neat website. You're definitely going to want to go to the English version, which is www.wt.com. That's WTEA.com. And when you go there, you'll be able to see the translated version of the Hebrew. Anyway, so actually, this company was the first tea plant to be put in Israel, and it's located in the industrial area of Galilee. And they have a really cool history. They started out as a Russian company, I believe.
Yes, in Moscow.
Moscow, yeah. And so from there, they opened a store up in London, which was one of the biggest hot spots in 1907, I believe.
1904. Yeah.
1904, yeah. So anyway, it's got a long history. I think over 150 years of making tea with this company, and they're actually still the only tea plant production in Israel. So it was really interesting. To learn about that, the tea we're actually trying today is a Nana tea, which Nana is a type of mint, and this mint is kind of similar to the Moroccan mint. It's kind of found in the Mediterranean. It's a spearmint leaf, and then it's also mixed with a black tea leaf. So this is going to be kind of a darker tea, but it's going to have a really fresh flavor because of the Nana mint. So yeah, I guess we just want to go ahead and get started trying it.
And a little bit about the brewing of this, because it is a black tea. There's a chart on the site now that you can see that shows the temperatures, but just under boiling is safe for this. It won't burn it or anything.
This is our first time actually using this teapot. We got this from Pier 1, and it looks like it's a little bit messy to pour, so you might want to be careful with it. Whoa, you really topped me off there. Is there honey in this already?
Yeah, I've got honey and sugar.
Okay, so when we first got recommended this tea from Alan, he actually told us how he liked to try it, and he recommends putting honey in it. And so I originally tried it without honey because I generally don't like anything in my tea. I like mine pretty bare. But I have to admit, adding the honey in just a little bit, like maybe half of a spoonful full of sugar, really does it for me with the Nana tea. So I definitely recommend getting some honey to go along with this tea. It's definitely brings out the flavor for sure.
And don't skimp and get the cheap blended honey, which I did initially, and we ended up throwing away. So
we ruined several cups of tea with that cheap honey.
So right away you'll notice the strong spearmint taste, even when opening the box up when it came in. It's a very strong spearmint tea. The Nana tea and Moroccan tea both are grown because of their really almost pungent mint smell. So really strong mint smell right away. And it's got the good black tea base.
Yeah, I actually love this tea. It's really funny. We ordered this before we even started filming the first 2 episodes, and we were actually originally planning to feature this one as the first tea, but then we started getting some free tea samples, so we definitely wanted to give shout-outs to the people who had sponsored us. So we're really excited to actually finally review this tea. If you'll notice, we've actually drank half the box already, so we'll be ordering some very soon. But also I wanted to mention they're on Facebook. If you go to their Facebook page, you're probably going to have to hit the translate button. It's all in Hebrew, but I definitely recommend checking it out. It's facebook.com/Wissotzky, and if you need help with the spelling, we'll have it provided down below. So.
Yeah, so I'm having mine with a little bit of milk. This time no sugar, no honey, just a little bit of milk, which is how I usually like my black teas. Really, really good. So.
We actually kind of got into trying the mint tea because we started blending Moroccan mint with Darjeeling, which is a sort of like a grape flavored.
Yeah, it has like grape undertones. Just a really good mild tea. And then we started blending it with Moroccan, which was Stash's. Stash Tea's Moroccan tea. And so from there we started experimenting. We really liked the base of the Moroccan, and so it's something you can try. If you've never tried blending different teas, that's a good place to start, blending your own teas, is throw a little bit of Moroccan with your favorite tea.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's a tea that you don't quite like, maybe it's a little bit too astringent on the black side, then you can throw some Moroccan in there and it'll mellow it out. So just a really good way to start blending your own teas. So then when we started talking about blending those together, Alan Connect immediately hit us up on Twitter and said, if you like that, then order the Wissotzky's Nana tea because it's the best. And
it definitely is so far. It's been the best tea, mint tea that we've had to date. So we really enjoy it. I probably have at least 1 cup of it a day. I'm not going to lie.
And I've even blended it with other black teas. Even though this is a black tea with a mint in it, I've even blended it with other black teas like a Ceylon, lots of different kinds of Ceylon, than just like an English breakfast tea, just to see how it comes out. And if you like that mint base, then you really can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
Quick fact, if you don't know, Ceylon is actually Sri Lanka. I believe it's what the country was called before it changed to Sri Lanka, but the tea is still referred to as Ceylon tea.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
From the Ceylon region is what they say.
That's neat.
Yeah. It's supposed to be the finest black tea you can get. And then most of the ones that we have on our shelf, we have, dozens and dozens of kinds of teas in there. But most of our Ceylon are part of the fair trade programs that they have. And then good thing about if you ever tried like Adagio teas, you can actually go on there, and their Ceylon teas, you can meet the farmer that picked the leaves of the tea that you're drinking. So, because there's a lot of concern about cheap labor or even slave labor in the tea fields, because it's happened before. So just be careful when you're purchasing your tea. Make sure your tea is part of any kind of fair trade policy that.
Yeah, and most tea websites will specify that they're fair trade because that's important. They really want to convey that. So. And
even with that, just do some fact checking and make sure that it's an actual. True statement.
True statement,
so, just like anything else, anything that's green, organic, when it's organic, you want to look for the USDA stamp. That's another thing that we hadn't touched on yet. This is actually a kosher tea. So that means that the entire manufacturing process is looked over by a rabbi. And so you see it's on the end of here, it's got kosher tea, and then on the bottom of the box it's got the kosher stamp. So no staples were used in it, nothing from the process of getting the leaves to processing it to putting it in the packaging. Everything, the entire process doesn't come in contact with anything that's non-kosher. So it is a kosher tea. Kosher teas are one of the things that are hard to find. During my research, there's a lot of things that you are hard to find kosher because they're usually processed with a lot of other things, and there's no way to guarantee that. But since they are based in Israel, that's
it's really important.
Yeah, it's really important to them. So if that's important to you, then this is definitely a good tea to pick up.
And I will say, I tried this just now initially without milk, and added some milk to it there at the end, and the milk really brings out the flavor a lot more to me. It kind of mellows it out and takes the.
I'm going to have to try
it. Takes a little bit of the edge out of it. It's a lot smoother with
basically the milk will smooth out anything that's like astringent in it. That's what I found. So a really strong mint, really strong black. The mint will just mellow that out, so you get more of a mellow mint versus that real sharp spearmint. And sometimes you want that. Sometimes maybe if you got a cold or something, then you want that really sharp mint taste. But on an average, everyday drinking.
I really don't like this teapot.
Yeah, so this teapot. So this teapot, we haven't ever tried it before. It's gorgeous on the shelf. We picked it up at Pier 1, and looks like it falls into the same category as our other teapot, where the spout is pointing too far up, and it's too close to the pot.
Yeah.
So you'll see when Craig goes to pour it.
And Abby's making a huge mess over here, so if you can see my little puddles, I really apologize.
You have to be really quick, and even if you're not really quick, you've got little puddles everywhere.
So this is one of the things that happens when you only focus on design and not function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a pretty teapot, but it's not pretty to pour.
That's the honey.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I don't normally take milk in my tea, but...
So what do you think about the difference without the milk versus with it?
Honestly, I'm such a weirdo. I really like mine bare, but this is not bad at all. So I really can't complain, but I probably would prefer it without milk. But
Yeah.
that's generally my preference on everything, though.
Pretty much no matter how you do it, it's good tea. I think we're all on agree.
Yeah, this is definitely, with the milk, it almost gives it a creamy mint flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And as Stephen mentioned, this tea and the Moroccan mint both are really good to blend. I mean, they almost blend with almost anything that you would have.
Right.
And, you get tired of drinking the same black tea or whatever. Throw some mint tea in there with it, and it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, and then just remember that it's already a black blend, so if you go to put it in your tea, if you're putting it with a black tea, then you're getting that double dose of caffeine and double dose of everything else, so it can be a little bit strong. But
I like it in the morning. It wakes me up.
Yeah. It's definitely a good morning tea.
Yes. So thank you, Alan, for sharing this tea with us. We love it. Cheers to you, mate. I don't know why I said mate, but...
And if you're curious, I believe black tea, if I can recall correctly, has depending on how you brew it, just if you brew it on the average time frame that's on our chart, I believe it has about 40 milligrams of caffeine, which is about equivalent to regular soda. Coffee is right at about 100, so that kind of gives you a base reference, I guess, as to how much caffeine is in a black tea, and it's a lot different for green teas and things like that. But.
Yep. So your steep time is going to be 3 to 5 minutes at 200 degrees, and it's delicious. So we definitely recommend this one for sure.
Yep. We'll put a link in the show notes so you can purchase some of your own, and just let us know in the comments how you like it.
And if you love to look at Hebrew, I really recommend their website.